Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Patron Hangout number 175. Welcome, everybody. I hope that you're not in California because that is horrific. If you're in any other part of the United States, you're only dealing with snow, and it snowed here in Maryland. Sun started Sunday night, and I haven't been out of the house since Saturday because I can't get out. All the schools are shut down, all the activities are shut down. The roads are crap, and my Mazda Miata is just going to slide right into a tree. So I've been having a fun time. It's kind of like COVID. It's returned, and I'm not happy about it, let me tell you. So anyway, I want to welcome everybody who is in the chat room and tell the rest of you guys, if you'd like to be in the chat room, please do click on the link below for Patreon. It's $5 a month, and I have 2 shows a week that are live shows for patrons only. And you want to be there, it'll be great. A hangout during the week and a case show on the weekend, and also our community. So if you want to do that, it helps an educational channel. If you don't want to, it's fine. All of my videos are public, so you don't have to join anything. But please do subscribe. It helps. Click the bell for notifications. Check my playlist. Okay. Oh, and the one other thing that I like to mention these days is because I started a new channel. Depending on when you're seeing this, it'll be new or it won't be new. But my new channel is Dear Profiler Pat, and I profile life, maybe your life, and you can check in on that. I'll put the link below, and you can get some life advice on a question. You can always send questions to me at profilerpatbrown@gmail.com and put Dear Profiler Pat in the subject line, and maybe I'll answer that question. So anyway, I don't know if anybody else has rolled in here since I think Kara's now here. Anybody else? Taylor's now here. Just checking on who's showing up. Okay, now before I start all the crime stuff, I know you're going to have a couple questions. Everybody always asks me about the feral cat, Mac. I did not see him Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it was getting to Wednesday. And I was like, can he not get his way through the snow? Because my cat door actually does open up under a deck. So if he gets through the snow, he's not going to be blocked. But he didn't show up. He's been showing up every day, and he didn't show up for all those days. And so I didn't know what happened to him. And I was getting a little worried. But last night when I was asleep, I put out good food, and he did eat it all. So he came back. So the cat came back, and at least he's alive. So that's nice. Your cat. Yeah, I don't know what he thinks of me. I guess I'm the feeding machine, but he's still friendly. So anyway, I think I might be overfeeding him because he's really big now. Either that or it's not a male and it's a female and she's pregnant, but I don't know which one it is. But it looks like a tomcat to me. So that's my guess. All right. The other question you're going to ask me, because I told you last week I was doing a water fast, and I told you I'd come back this week and tell you if I was still doing the water fast. And yes, this is day 15 of the water fast. And that's what I'm drinking. Still alive. How about that? I haven't keeled over yet. And but I have to read you a little something, because this is when you're profiling. I think this is not a crime, but it's interesting when you're looking at different people's opinions. And a lot of times we hear one opinion and we say, oh my God, that's true. Depending on what they said, we may think it's true in a good way. We may think it's true in a bad way, but sometimes it's just amazing. So I found this article. And it's on the TrueNorth.com site. True North is a place you go to do water fasting, and you have doctors there so they can check on you. And you stay there and you pay money. And I'm going to tell you how much money. I'll tell you right now how much money. It's about $2,000 a week. And your accommodations, if you get the cheap version, is a small room and no pool, no amenities outside of. You get to sit around and watch a whole lot of videos and stuff like that. And you get fed water. And the doctors do check on you. So this guy, he goes there and take a look at the opinion, which is to me what is fascinating. Hold on, somebody's blocking this. Okay. he goes there for 6 days. And the headline is How the Terrible, Insufferable 6-Day Water Fast Made Me a New Man. Now, first of all, it was only 6 days. Second of all, 6 days does not make you a new man. So that's just ridiculous. So anyway, he goes there, and people do go there because they have real physical issues that they want to clear up. And some people believe fasting will clear up problems like high blood pressure, chronic pain, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just doing it because I'm fat. But anyway, so he goes to this place, and I just have to read you a couple things because it's just very funny when you look at the different opinions. So I'm going to read you a little spec from each day. So what is day 1? Okay, that's his first day. And he's getting used to just being there, and he's wishing he could eat. Okay, day 2. On my second day, I woke up at 4 a.m. in an unforgiving mood. Rise and do not shine. Rise and moan. It's dark and cold. And once you take digestion out of the equation, you save tremendous energy, which makes you restless at all the wrong times, like the middle of the night. So he's upset with that. Now, this is from True North, which is really funny. And I don't know why they put this on their site. And I don't think it's I wouldn't have done it if I were them. Guests are asked not to use scented cosmetics because fasters have, I'm told, heightened smell. No, nobody has heightened smell. So you can't use cosmetics. I don't use hardly anything, but I do like this really nice smelling hand lotion, which at night I just go because I like the smell of it. I haven't stopped using it. And I don't put it on and go, oh my God, I got to go get pizza. It's so stupid. So anyway, he's like obsessing over food now. Now we get to day 3. Okay. So now he's having some issues. Vicious headaches, dizziness, and a sad, hollow feeling that water does not soothe. And by the way, not only do they tell you can't wear anything on your face, but they won't let you take a shower because you're so dizzy you might fall over in the shower. And he says you can tell the people who are fasting from the people who are now on the recovery thing for food because they're walking real slow downstairs and they're clinging to the walls. It's hysterical. I'm walking on my treadmill. And when I did this many, many years ago, I played pickleball and table tennis through the whole thing. So what is he talking about anyway? Now, let's see what happens to him on day 3. Life without food is darkness and headaches and restlessness. Haven't had a headache yet. I can't sleep. I can't read. Music seems jarring. So, I hadn't bargained for so much bed rest. I haven't had so much bed rest. I'm busy. I do my shows. I do stuff. Day 4, progress, maybe. I woke up feeling slightly better, hollow and weak. So got rid of his headache. Now his stomach is growling. Day 5, he lost 12 pounds. They say mostly water weight. So he's hanging in now. And now, they'll give you some kind of medication for some things that bother you. On 6th day, he actually feels halfway decent. He says, I could do this longer. But then he starts eating. I just thought it was hysterical. What a pussy. And this is a younger man. It just cracked me up. So when you look at opinions, now I say, I don't know why I put this on the site, although the end result, he said, was great on the 6th day. But still, the way he describes it, I wouldn't go to that place and pay $2,000 a week. By now, I would have spent $4,000. And guess what, dude? Just stay home and drink some water. I understand. I have to say, fasting is unsafe unless your physician is monitoring you. I will say that. But it's just so funny. And so one opinion is this is the worst thing, that's the most horrible experience, but yet it comes out good. Other people say it's a terrible experience. Other people say it's a great experience. Some people say it's dangerous. Some people say it's not dangerous. So whenever you're looking at opinions, understand their opinions, and you have to look for, is there evidence to support anything? Same is true with analysis of crime, that you can get 2 differing opinions on a crime, and sometimes what people do is the people who agree with this opinion hate this person. You suck at analyzing. And the people who like this one say, you suck at analyzing, to the other person. It's not that we cannot have different opinions. And sometimes one of us, indeed, if they're total opposites, one of us may indeed be correct and the other one not so correct. And we're not all perfect people. So you have to check out things and see whether you think, how much evidence is there, and don't get all bent out of shape because somebody views things differently than you. But I'm just glad I saved $4,000. You fasted for 4 months with like no food at all. You're talking about intermittent fasting. There's a huge difference. Intermittent fasting, in case you don't know, is where you take a portion of the day and you don't eat. Some people do OMAD, 1 meal a day. Some people do a couple meals a day, but they keep it in a short area. It's considered very good for you, and I'll probably do that in the future again. It's excellent, but it's different. You're still eating food, and you just have to decide how much to eat. Some people eat a regular menu, but and some people kind of eat less and then intermittent fast too. Intermittent fasting. I don't know. Some people, there has been a story with couple stories of people who went for months doing water fasting. And it's usually because they're very, very large and they have a great store of fat to live off of. So, what? I used the P word. For what? For what? Oh, I did. Oh, that P word. I wasn't talking about the cat. Well, you know why the cat isn't around anymore? I don't know. It kind of fell off my water fast. Oh my God. Paul says I fast when I'm asleep, then I eat. When I wake up in the night. Hey, I've been there, done that. I was one of those people who ate pizza and left it by the side of the bed and then would wake up 2 in the morning and go, yeah, it looks good to me. I had bad habits. I got rid of all my bad habits. Don't have them anymore. Sure. Okay. All right. On to crime. Oh, seriously. 382 days. Wow. He must have been huge. I mean, if you're really thin, it can get it can be dangerous. Obviously, when you move past a certain point. I mean, Gandhi was fairly thin. He was able to fast for a reasonable period of time. But I always kind of laugh when these college students like chain himself to a post and say, "I'm not going to eat." And you're like, "Dude, you're 300 pounds. We can leave you there for a month or 2 or 3." Oh goodness. Anyway, I'll let you know if I make it through the next week. So since I'm on day 15, my intention was to go to 20 days, 21 days. But a lot of that does depend how well you feel and whether you just get sick of it and just don't want to do it anymore. So I'll let you know next week how far I made it. Okay, to the news. What am I at? Okay. I want to mention 2 up front that I'm going to do shows on. Okay. We have all my pictures are out of order because right before the show, I realized I hadn't put any of my pictures up at all. I went, oh my God, I didn't even do that. So let's see if I can find her. Where is she? Now I can't even find the picture of her. Dang it all. Okay. Where'd my picture go? See, I screwed up. Or maybe it's up here. I can't see the little picture, so I don't know who I'm looking at. Oh, okay. So anyway, I'm going to do, if anybody knows, this is Selena. She was murdered, and the woman who murdered her, well, there's no question that she was murdered, by the way. The woman who murdered her is up for parole. And there we go. So she's up for parole. Her name, hold on a second, my screen is freezing. Her name is Yolanda Saldivar. She's the woman who shot Selena. She's filed for parole. She's now 63 years old. She's been in there, I think, 30 years. That's 1995 was when she killed her. She was found guilty of first-degree murder, and on October 26th, she was sentenced to life in prison in 1995 with a possibility of parole in 30 years. So anyway, she's up for parole. So last year, there was a Oxygen series called Selena and Yolanda, The Secrets Between Them. And I recommend you might want to watch that because I will be doing a show on Selena on Sunday. I'm very interested in the issue of this woman and what she did, why she did it, and the issue of fans and obsessive fans, and not you guys, but her. So I'm going to do that. And then just because she's asked for it now, I know it's kind of a buzz. Like, should she get out of prison? Shouldn't she? So I'm going to do a show on that. And then the other show I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to do one tomorrow. It's going to be a video because it's not a 2-hour show. But I was asked if I would look into. Hold on. Get my little picture of him. Gareth Williams. Gareth Williams was basically he worked for a secret intelligence service, SIS or MI16 in England, and he was found dead in suspicious circumstances, naked in a hold all bag and in his bathtub, zipped up with a little lock on it. And it's a very strange case, and a lot of people believe that it went back and forth between he did it to himself, and it's not a natural death, and because he suffocated in there, and they took him out because he was involved in spy work. And so there's a lot of theories on why they might have done this, how they took him out, and so I will be doing that. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a video on that because it's a little too long for this show, but not long enough for a weekend 2-hour show. So that's what I'm going to do. All right. So Selena's killer should never get out. Crazy Yolanda. Yeah, well, it's quite a fascinating case because, yeah. So I'll get into it on Sunday. I don't want to get into it here. Now, what else was I going to do here? Okay. Sarah just brought this up, the Gone Girl case, and I don't have any pictures. So, because Sarah brought up right when the show was beginning, and I just want to mention it because it is very interesting. Where'd it go? Okay. Where's my Gone Girl? I just pulled up an article on it. Come on, where'd it go? Where's my Gone Girl? Dang it. Hold on a second. I did have it here and it just vanished on me. So, oh no, it's here. It just didn't come up. It's something I could even see. So if you remember the Gone Girl case, it was a really strange case of a woman being kidnapped. And it looked like the Gone Girl movie, book, both of which I hated. But anyway, that the wife who was kidnapped staged this whole thing with this crazy scenario of a guy coming in the night and doing all these weird things. And so they thought it was a staged crime until they found out it wasn't. Just absolutely fascinating case. And a guy was found who committed this crime. His name was Matthew Muller, 47 years old. And he got a 40-year sentence for the kidnap and rape of a Vallejo woman in 2015. Her abduction was initially thought to be a hoax, cynically dubbed the Gone Girl kidnapping after the book and movie. However, he really done did it. So, but now they have found he did this before. And this guy, by the way, was quite brilliant. He was a smart guy. He was a Harvard alumnus, Marine veteran, former immigration attorney. And what he did before, this police chief wanted to see if we could get some confessions out of him. And he wrote to this guy in prison, and the guy actually confessed, which is seriously unusual. Not sure why he did it, but let's see where it says exactly what happened in the new one. He started committing crimes when he was 16 years old, and over the course of the communication, there was a 2015 unreported kidnapping and ransom incident in Contra Costa, California, that he mentioned, and they looked that up and they found out this is what happened. So Mueller unlawfully held 3 victims captive and demanded tens of thousands of dollars for their release. And I guess he got the money and ran, but the people never reported it because they were terrified of this guy. I guess he said enough things that, hey, I'll come back and kill you. So they were like just be gone, So yeah, they did. So that's very unfortunate. So one of the problems we have when somebody doesn't report a crime is that you allow that criminal to do it again. And to me, I understand the fear factor, especially for women who've been raped. A lot, not a lot, but a number of women who've been raped. I'm not talking about date rape, which I know I've said, but it's a bad thing and it's rape. I'm talking about sometimes even violent rape that they don't want to report it. And they should, because that guy that did it to her, since a rapist is always a serial rapist, once you don't report that, then the next, how many other women are going to be harmed? And I'll say this for date rape too. Even if date rape can't be proven, because a lot of times it's very difficult to prove whether it was consensual, not consensual, and so on and so forth. At least if you report it, the guy's name is in the paperwork somewhere. So if another woman 2 years later reports the same thing, you can say, wait a minute, we had a report on that guy. And because then if they don't know each other, that's good information. Sometimes with what is considered date rape, when you have a case where, especially if it's a celebrity, he's accused of this, and then the defense attorney, like Allred, puts out the word to everybody. If it happened to you, and then people run in and say, yeah, it happened to me too. And you can't, it's like, but did it, or you're just jumping in on the bandwagon here? Did you really? It's hard to know whether they're making up the story, and if they've heard details, they add that to their story. But if you have 2, 3 women or men who don't know each other, never heard of each other's cases, and 2 or 3 different people report the same thing, then you have absolute pretty good evidence that this person is a serial rapist of some sort, a serial date rapist, whatever, because the stories are the same and there's no way that they knew each other. So that's why I recommend reporting that kind of thing, even if it doesn't end up in a conviction. So now, mind you, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but these people who were attacked by this guy, maybe they could have got this guy, and that other couple didn't have to go through hell. So, yeah, that was true. I don't want to go into the whole case here because I can't remember all the details at this point in time. I think I've talked about it before. I don't think I did a whole show on it, but you were at the moment, her kidnapper dropped her off in Huntington Beach at her father's house. Sure. And it felt, that's what it felt like. The story, whatever happened was so weird that it looked like this was a huge hoax between her and her husband. And it was that bizarre that I can't blame the police for thinking it's a hoax. I mean, I thought it looked like a hoax. So, he did such weird things that you just think, oh, come on, nobody came in and did that. Nobody dropped her off took all that long drive and dropped her off at Dad's house. Who does that? Well, this guy did that. Very, very strange situation. So, a very interesting case. Somebody wanted me to do, wait a minute. I want to do Nurse Erin Strotman. We have these nurses who seem to knock off babies. Well, this one didn't knock the babies off. This one just broke their legs. It's the most bizarre thing ever. Here she is, Erin Strotman. She's a nurse. Okay. What did she do? Wow. Bizarre story. Very bizarre. And I'm going to go to, this is in Virginia. Hold on a second. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here we go. Oh, come on. Where's the good one? Oh, okay. Shocking court documents straight out of the Daily Mail, who I keep telling everybody is the best source of crime details, in spite of themselves. Daily Fail does sometimes not fail. All right. Shocking court documents reveal how Virginia nightmare nurse Erin Strotman was caught on camera. Thank God she was caught on camera, breaking a premature baby's leg. And one of the biggest problems we have with certain crimes, but when nurses commit, like in the UK, people say that person's innocent because they don't they don't have things on video. And they're like, well, maybe the hospital just is fudging things and all this time. She's being blamed for no reason. They got her on video. A nurse from Midlothian, Virginia, was caught on video breaking the thigh bone of one 5-month boy in the neonatal intensive care of Enrico Doctors Hospital in Richmond. The child was also found to have a fractured right tibia and several broken ribs. Just want to let you know of the children that they believe she did this to. They're all okay. I'm not saying they didn't go through pain. I'm not saying it wasn't horrible, but they are okay. So at least that. All right. She's 26 years old, and she took the boy by the legs and applied pressure. And she was observed doing this. So, no, I'm not going to get all those other details. But what's interesting is two things that have come out of this, besides the fact that this is a psycho. And what was she getting out of it? Well, hold on a second. I'll get to the rest of this article because I got so many ads in between. She's only been charged in relation to one child so far, but remains in jail after bail was refused by a judge. Good. I will use the psychopath word again, because nobody breaks the legs of babies for just because I had a headache or something, So to do that, why was she doing it? And this is always difficult when you look for a motive on this kind of thing. Did she enjoy seeing the child in pain? Did she enjoy the power she had over the child? Did she want to somehow watch everybody swirl around and go, oh my God, what happened to the baby? And she's like, it was me and you don't even know it. It's hard to say. Now this is creepy. The video was made on November 10th after Strotman had returned to work after she and 3 colleagues had been suspended on full pay for almost a year after 4 boys received unexplained leg fractures. So 4 boys had the fractures and they didn't know which person did it. That was the problem. They couldn't find who was responsible. They got full pay for a year, which is a damn good deal. I mean, that's awesome, man. And then they let her come back to the neonatal unit. All of them. I personally, you don't want to blame the other nurses for doing such a horrible thing when maybe their love is working with neonatal babies. But that seems kind of risky to me because one of those did break bones of those babies. So what the heck? You bring them right back in and put them right back with the babies? I don't know about that. That's a lawsuit and a half coming up. Now, the next thing that happened is details of how she injured the boy come after sources close to the hospital told dailymail.com that she was racist and initially targeted only Black children. One source said the majority of the babies were Black babies. When she came back, they noticed the pattern. She tried to throw them off by targeting a white baby and a girl baby. They said she was a weak student during her time in nursing school, and she wasn't too thrilled. People are saying she's a white supremacist. That's a bit of a stretch. Now, the police have come out and say there's no evidence that it's a hate crime at this point. And personally, I don't think it would be a hate crime. I mean, the thrill she was getting out of the babies, it wasn't something blatant hate crime. It's a weird thing that probably not. Now, the question comes down to, and this is what we need for evidence before we jump to that conclusion. It could be true, but where's the evidence? Now, the evidence supposedly is that the earlier babies were Black. Okay. Enrico, the hospital serves, it's about 50% white, 50% Black. There may be reasons why there were more Black babies in that hospital neonatal unit than white babies. I don't know. It could just be that's the opportunity she had. Happened to be at the time when nobody was looking. Happened to be a Black baby boy. Maybe when she came back, she didn't have an opportunity for a Black baby boy, so she broke somebody, and she broke a white kid and a girl. So that's jumping to a conclusion unless something can be proven. And if it is proven, here's the old problem that I keep going over. If this is made into this is white people killing black people, white people killing black, coming after black babies. I mean, it becomes a huge racist thing when it might, a psychopath, I've pointed out many times, usually doesn't give a crap as much about race or anything else because they're just not into that stuff. They're into themselves. So they may use the appearance of that to get attention. Say it's a political thing, or say, pick out a particular group of people and have people say it's a hate crime, when really what they want is the attention they're going to get from it being labeled something. And that's more of a psychopathic thing. So it's not some horrible thing that's going through society. It's just that psychopath using sometimes that as a attention getter. Now, at this point in time, we don't even know if that's, why she happened to pick more black babies than white babies. Because I don't know, again, who was in the hospital at that time, what was available, and so on. So don't jump to conclusions, but the one conclusion you can jump to is she's on video breaking babies' legs. She's a psychopath. So I'm going to go with that. This might have been opportunity. That is usually what, same thing is true with serial killers. I remember this one crime. The woman was raped and murdered on a bike path. And people said, well, was it a race thing? And I'm like, so the guy's on the bike path and he's hiding in the bushes. And along comes a man and he says, well, not that one. And then along comes a woman, but she's, maybe she's 50 years old and overweight and she's waddling along. He's like, yeah, no. Next woman comes by and he, whatever the next woman is, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, hey, nobody on either side, whomp. That's a lot of times what it is. And when we used to see, when races were more separate, we used to see that white guys kept killing white women. So that's why they say things like, oh, he's killing women that look like his mother and his sister. No, he's killing women in the neighborhood. Black men were killing black women in the neighborhood. They were just killing what was available. But then when you have more mixing of cultures, races, you'll see that you'll find serial killers who pretty much kill everybody because that's what's in their neighborhood. Opportunity is much more important than anything else. Yeah. So, but I'll say this one truth: being very overweight does keep you from getting killed by a serial killer. They do like the small, thin, younger, very pretty little 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old. They like those because they're kind of like trophies. And as I point out many times, it's easier to get the genes off of a thin person and able to manage her better than a heavy person where those genes are hard to get off. And then you have a trouble dragging her body into the bushes or putting it in the trunk. That's just practical. So just practical. Yep. They're harder. Yeah. So eat cake and enjoy it. You'll be safer. Tall. Tall is useful too. Because if you're taller than the dude, he really doesn't. He wants the smaller package. Yes. Taller and more Amazonian. Strong woman. Tall and strong. Better chance of the serial killer going, I'll get the next one. So yeah, there's these reasons. This is another one. This is bizarre. Okay, so let me show you the picture. Hold on, because this picture is really important. Okay, I'll show you the first one. It's very sad. Okay, so here is a guy named Brandon Lee Sheffield. Yeah, he died just recently, December 27th. And I want to read you his obituary. Okay, where is his obituary? Brandon, where are you? Hold on. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, the cat has returned. Hi, cat. Glad you're alive. Hold on. It's a slow. it is. Okay, hold on. It's a crappy website. Hello, cat. Your food is here. Look, I got your food. Seriously? I just love it when websites, sorry, from behind the picture. I love it when websites don't want to come up. I'm going to try to reload it. Thank you. All right, now it's here. It's decided to be stubborn. All right, let me read you this guy's obituary. Brandon Lee Sheffield was born on September 22 in 1984 in Mobile, Alabama, and passed away December 27th in Brandon, Mississippi. He's got the same name as the town. He was a devoted father who cherished his daughters, Kylie and Gracie, as they were truly his world. Brandon spent countless moments enjoying life with his family, which brought him immense happiness. He is survived by his mother, Donna Sheffield, a brother, Brian Sheffield. Brandon also held a special bond with his niece, Brianna Sheffield, and his nephew, Michael, and Braxton Sheffield. His connection with family and friends were deep, and he was known for being a great brother, uncle, and friend. He had passion for hobbies, working on cars, fishing, playing disc golf, going on vacations with his family where laughter and memories were made. He is preceded in death by his father, Kenneth Sheffield, his grandparents, Kathy and John Husted, and his wife, Jennifer Murillo Sheffield. That is his obituary. Now, there's also a GoFundMe. That's the family. And I want to read you the GoFundMe. Hold on a second. Hello? Are you going to talk to me or not? No. Okay, that's the family. And this is the GoFundMe. Has raised $10,000 so far. Okay. Hello, yes, I'm here. He looks really fat. I don't know. A huge cat. All right. So the GoFundMe. All right. Supporting Kylie and Gracie after the tragedy. Okay. So far, it does seem like, well, what happened? Was it a car accident? Whatever happened here. Hold on. It's being stubborn. On December 24th, on December 27th, 24th, my precious nieces lost their beautiful mother, Jennifer, and their father, my little brother, Brandon. So many have been praying for our family and have reached out wanting to help, and our only goal is to support the girls. There's no handbook on how to navigate such a tragedy, and we're doing our best to figure it out, but we do know Kylie and Gracie will need financial support. All funds will help provide for their immediate needs. So they lost their beautiful mother and their father, and the mother preceded the father in death. Does anybody know this case? Sarah's got it right. Murder-suicide. Yes. Jennifer was leaving him, and she has decided to get a divorce. And there's a video, I think it's TikTok, she's in, and she's saying everything's going really well. Brandon is handling this beautifully. We're amicably separating, blah, blah, blah. And she said nothing but nice things about him. And then he shot her to death and then killed himself. So the fact that both of these things do not say he killed her, and it's all like, they're both he was a wonderful guy, just the nicest, greatest guy. And he loved his family so much. He loved this, he loved that, but he's willing to kill his wife and destroy his children's life and himself. That is particularly disturbing. Now, people keep saying he was a good guy. Really? So if he's such a good guy, why would he do this kind of thing? And were there any signs? And I will say again and again, yes, there's always signs that his ego cannot take this kind of stuff, that he could not handle losing her, that she was property to him. Even if he is nice to her, she's still property to him. He still has the rights to her life, regardless of how good she is to him. But if she's upsets him, he feels he has the right to take her out so that she can't have that new life. He doesn't have to see her with somebody else. She doesn't get away with breaking up the home. She doesn't get away with getting the kids or sharing the kids. She doesn't have the right to do that. Now, most of us who go through divorce are not happy about it. I mean, well, unless you really want to get away, if you're the one who just really wants to get away from the person, maybe you are super happy. She seemed kind of happy. But even if in the relationship there's infidelity or whatever kind of stuff going on, the concept that you kill the person before they become an ex or after they become an ex is you have to have a brain that has something wrong with it. But anyway, that people aren't recognizing, because you're just not the greatest guy in the world and then you kill off your wife and yourself. It's just not the way it works. But what we do see, as I pointed out many times, with what I call a midlife crisis for mass murderers and for family annihilators, that it's their fragile ego that as long as everything's going fine, everybody might survive. But if they lose their job, they go in severe debt, the wife is going to leave, whatever, then they take them out. Now, oftentimes they do kill themselves as well, because they feel like this person has caused them to fail, and they don't want to be around in a world where they've failed. So, and people look at them and think they failed. So so that's why both of you go down in a murder-suicide. But it's just the way it's just stated as he's the greatest guy, and he just accidentally killed his wife and himself. It was just a tragedy. It was tragedy. It was a tragedy for her. It's a tragedy for for the children. For him, yeah. And, he's got a gun there. How convenient for that. I guess maybe he did. I don't know if he did hunting and stuff, but still, the way this is, that she's not being presented as a victim to me is disgusting. And that the children aren't being looked at as a victim. They're only a victim of the tragedy. They're not a victim of that man who perpetrated that horrible evil. So it's kind of amazing when I saw that. Both of those, especially the GoFundMe. Yes, the kids need money, but hey, to not present it, this is where the truth is left out. They didn't lie. It was a tragedy, and she did die before him because he shot her first. She preceded him in death. Now, she preceded him by him murdering her, but so they didn't lie. They just omitted the truth. So, oof. Just horrifying. Such a sad situation. Oh, that's okay. In German we say, okay, I'm going to try to do this. Besitzergrund. Besitzergrund. Did I say it right, Christoph? That was tough. No, and she was pregnant. Yeah, well, so what? That's their mind. So what? Horrifying. Oh, really? Hey, cool. I got it right. Yes, very possessive, but even more so, I think possessive. I think it's all of the ego thing is there, and she probably, one of the reasons she probably wanted the divorce was that it was there. I mean, she didn't wake up one day. She's got the best guy in the world, the best guy who just is wonderful. Everybody says he's the greatest guy, and yet she wants a divorce. Why? Because behind closed doors, he wasn't the greatest guy to her. And the reason she probably said these nice things is because she wanted her children to not have her. I have to really respect her for that. She wanted her children to see their father before I'm looking for the cat. Disappeared. Is he in his cat bed? Oh, he went to his cat bed. Okay. It is you in the cat bed. Yeah, he's in the cat bed. What she wants her children, because she didn't know he was going to kill her, because that probably never even crossed her mind that he would do that. She wanted her children to still love their father in spite of whatever issues he had with maybe controlling stuff and possessiveness and whatever insecurities he's got, maybe bipolar, who knows, because nothing's ever good enough and he's never good enough to you and blah, blah, blah. So she may have wanted to present it well so that she wouldn't make him mad. Maybe that's another reason. She doesn't want to make him mad, and she wants her kids to think that she's a nice person and that he's a nice person. But I'm going to say, very likely, she had a lot of things happening in the house she did not express to anybody, or maybe one day some friends will say she told us about the things that were going on, but the family never saw it. So just super, super sad. Yes, it does, because that's very true, Sarah, because especially boyfriend-girlfriend thing, it's like, man, I was having a good time with you. Now we're going to have a baby and I got to take care of that thing for 18 years. Yeah, it's going to ruin my life. Might as well get rid of you. Yeah, that is true. Yes, my cat does have a bed. I bought the cat bed and he did not go into that cat bed for almost 8 months. And then finally one day I saw him go over there and lay down. I went, you got to be kidding. He's actually using the bed. So still won't get near me, but anyway. All right, let's see. Oh, Clea. Somebody asked me to do the Clea case. Not worth a full, not that she's not worth it, but for me to do analysis, it doesn't take up a whole show. So I am going to talk about the case here. Very, very super sad case. And there's one particular point I want to point out. Let me find her. There she is. Okay. Cleashindra Denise Hall. She was murdered she vanished in 1976. Now, find her case. Okay. Shinda, where are you? Okay, she is. Okay. And I want to point out something to me that just bugs me. Cleashindra Denise Hall, also known as Clea, which I'll use from now on, American woman who's been missing since 1994. At the time of her disappearance, Clea was 2 weeks away from graduating high school. She was 18. That's important because the police called her an adult when she went missing and didn't do much. Because adults have the right to go wherever they want. And there is a problem with that, even for teenagers. A lot of parents will call and say, my kid disappeared. And they can't, oftentimes, they don't have the resources to do a massive search for a child who is maybe just down the street staying overnight with somebody's house. And then they show back up the next day and so that's why sometimes it's tricky for the police to know how much effort to put into something before, when they don't know. And I'm telling you, they got mega amounts of this teenage stuff going on all the time. Our parents are calling it in constantly. And most of them come back, but this one didn't. She was 2 weeks away from graduating high school. She was an honor student, had landed a summer internship at a Boston pediatrician's office. So this was actually a summer internship, and had been accepted into the pre-med program at Tennessee State University. This was at the time a young woman who was excelling all over the place. She was an honor student. Let's see. In May 1994, she attended her senior prom. She was expected to graduate later that month. She disappeared 2 weeks before the graduation and never attended the ceremony. She intended to follow her career as a pediatrician. The after-school job was at a home office of Dr. Larry Amos. The office was located in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. After finishing her work hours, she typically called one of her parents to ask for a ride home. The responsible girl, I don't know if during the day she walked there, I don't know how she got there before, was still light out. But when she worked and the evening came, she called to get a ride. Hall had no previous history of leaving without telling anyone. She's reportedly not a troubled teen and had no reason to voluntarily escape her life. And she did not have a boyfriend at the time. This was a girl who was headed for a great life and great service to the community. And so what happened was she was last seen walking Okay, here's the answer to that I just said. She was walking into her after-school job at the home office of 43-year-old Dr. Larry Amos. She called her mother just after 8 p.m., but she was not ready to return yet. I looked up what she did, and she did a lot of paperwork and stuff. The patients didn't have to be there for her to be participating. It's not like she was doing anything with the children. She was doing the paperwork and stuff. So even after hours, she might stay there to do all the kind of work that, all that, stuff entails. That's why she was there later. And I guess there was supposedly extra stuff he had for her to do, and she's getting paid. So she called her mother just after 8 p.m., but she was not ready to return yet. She told her mother to expect a second phone call when the time came for her to ride home. The second phone call never took place. Dr. Amos told the police that Hall had gotten into a car with an unknown individual after she had finished work at his office. Hall was last seen wearing a white shirt, navy blue, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Laurel Hall, her mother, fell asleep while waiting for her daughter to call. She woke around 1 a.m. and she realized she'd never called for her ride and had yet to return home. They reported her missing, but they said they'd have to wait 24 hours to file a missing persons report. And that guy Dr. Amos did become a suspect. They searched his home, which also served as an office, since that's the last place she was seen. That's reasonable. They found no sign of a struggle, but the mother believed that he had enough time in that 24 hours to potentially get rid of evidence. And they actually waited weeks, I guess, to actually follow. 2 weeks following, that's when they searched. 2 weeks. Get out of here. My mother must be pissed. 2 weeks. And that's why there's just no evidence. All right. So they were still looking and looking. The local police considers the Hall case likely to be a kidnapping, but reportedly have no ideas to the identity. Dr. Amos reported seeing Hall entering someone's car, but couldn't see who was driving and who could offer the description of the vehicle. Hall did not have a mobile phone with her, and the case predates the mobile phone trafficking methods. There's another story where he just heard her get in the car. Apparently, this guy turned into a really, really, really bad guy. Let me see if I can find the other one. Now, when I first looked at the story, the warning bells rang right away. She's a highly responsible person, and she told her mother that she was going to make that second call, and then suddenly she just she doesn't have a phone to call on. She'd have to call from the office phone. Theoretically, they'd know if she used that to call somebody she knew. How else would somebody just show up there? She wasn't planning to stay late, so no one would know she's staying late. So that makes zero sense. And I've seen this too many times. There's two things that oftentimes a person who killed the person will say. One is she got in somebody else's car. She left and, somebody else took her away, because that then takes the possibility that you're involved away from you, and the police have to waste a massive amount of time looking for a person who doesn't exist. The other thing is I let her out of the car and she walked to her apartment. Can you prove he didn't let her out of the car? No. So you can't prove he killed her, but somebody else could have gotten her before she got to the apartment. But that's the other one you say. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be investigated both of those claims with people who have both of those claims, but still it makes it more difficult. But now listen to a little bit. So do I think that the doctor is the likely the suspect? Yes. Now listen to this about him. What happened to it? Shoot, now I've lost my thing. Apparently this guy was involved in all kinds of crooked stuff. Let me put it that way. You can read up on that somewhere else in the net, but crooked stuff. And they also supposedly found holes in his backyard covered by concrete, that hole with a lot of bad smell and flies and stuff, but they did not find her, because the thought was that he might have buried her in the backyard, under, laid down concrete or whatever. But they did not find anybody there, and I don't know quite when they did this. Later, I thought it was in this article, but how much later they did that, I'm not sure. But it says as of 2021. Here we go. There's a little more information. His ex-wife, upon agreeing to meet with Clea's parents, has said that he was abusive and violent. His home was searched after 2 weeks, but they found no sign of that struggle. And then it says, as of 2021, he's still considered a subject. The police believe her case involves kidnapping, and the investigation is still open. Now, mind you, kidnapping can mean you kidnap somebody when you keep them in your house, just as well as being kidnapped off the street or somebody picking you up and taking you someplace. So kidnapping is also, she wasn't allowed to leave. That's kidnapping. So that's not excluding him when they say that. So poor girl. And I'm always really bugged by these cases where the person their behavior is just excellent, and their efforts in life have been excellent. Now, I'm not saying people who haven't done such a great job of life should get knocked off. I'm not saying that, but it's just that she was such a seemingly a great person and going to be such a wonderful person in the future in society, to do the things she was doing, to work so hard, and even take your after-school job just to possibly be knocked off by the guy you're working for, who you never suspect being a pediatrician, if he is the one that did it. It's just a massive shame. I'll check some of your comments on that. Pat knows men in their 40s are dangerous. Well, that's an interesting point. And actually, obviously, when you come to the serial killers, most of them tend to be younger because they've been chomping at the bit, to get to be an adult so they can do what they like to do. It's actually true. It's when people say, well, why suddenly when they're 18, 19, 20 or whatever, they start into the serial homicide? It's like, well, before that, they didn't have a car, they didn't have mobility. They were living in their parents' house. Sometimes you'll see the younger ones, what they'll do is they'll kill the next door neighbor lady who's elderly because they think they can, just go down the block and kill somebody. But the ones who actually then go out into society, it's because they're no longer at home and they have a car. They have more ability to move around. They're stronger, bigger, and all that kind of stuff. But I think the 40-year-old group, that's where a lot of times you see more rage and single crimes where they do something because they're angry at society or whatever. Now, this guy was 40s, and he could be a serial killer because it might not be the only one he did, or who knows? Maybe he made advances at her, and she fought back, and he did something stupid and smashed her head in, or hit her into a coffee table. I don't know. It could be an accident, or it's hard to say. I mean, it really is. It's hard to say. But if he was a violent man, he could have just been angered and not be a true serial killer, but somebody who gets mad. If you look at Peterson, Drew Peterson, now 2 of his wives vanished. I mean, one ended up dead in the bathtub. The Drew Peterson, the police officer, one ended up dead in the bathtub. One vanished, and I think he tried to kill the first one too. So the 3 wives, and he's not a serial killer, but he is a person who will kill under certain circumstances because he gets angry, or that person is preventing him from getting what he wants. He gets frustrated by them. But unlike the guy who just killed off his wife and himself, he's smart enough just to kill off the person he wants to get rid of and carry on with his life. And finally, thank God, they never did find the 3rd wife. But luckily he's in prison. Thank God. Well, that's one way to describe him. Stacy was the one who vanished. That's the last one. Now, I'm not saying he did it, but yeah, you don't think that seems. But then nurses, see, I point out oftentimes Munchausen syndrome by proxy is often nurses. And it's not because most nurses are Munchausen syndrome. It's just that for some reason they go into a profession that gives them power in a certain way. And especially for women who are slighter and aren't into necessarily as violent crimes as males, that's not usually the way they act out, but they do like manipulation and attention. So that's a good profession to go into. So, they take out babies, and they take out patients in nursing homes is a big one, because they can't fight back, and they kill their own children. So, but there's a high level of nurses. I'd like to see. I haven't seen an actual thing drawn up yet as how many Munchausen by syndrome by proxy women who've been convicted are actually in the nursing profession in some way. I'd be curious to have somebody do that. I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy. He could do away with the body. I don't think he can do away with the body any better than anybody else. I mean, doctors, that's not their thing. Now, if you were a mortician, I'd say you got a point, but I don't think he'd know how to get rid of a body particularly. And I don't know if anybody looked at his computer to see if he Googled that, So let's see. I want to look at a parental denial thing, because I'm always fascinated when parents deny what the kids are involved in. This is let me find them. Where are you? Okay, here we go. All right. This is something I don't even hardly understand. It's called a rug pull. I'm just curious, does anybody know what a rug pull is? I mean, when I think of a rug pull, yes, I think of somebody standing on it and you whip it out from under them and they fall, which I guess is the reason for this statement. But does anybody know the meaning of a rug pull in finances? It's a fraud thing, but I've just never heard of it, because I'm not into fraud stuff, because it's just not, by the way, I've done the one case, the famous one, and I forgot the name of it now. Tell them what it is. That one is in my collection. That's one German case. I don't know if I have any. Yeah, ask me to any interesting German cases. I'm all for it. But I did the one on the family way back, the farm family. Somebody tell me the name of it. Yeah, I've never heard of it. Let me try to explain what it is. So here we have these. Look at these pictures. These are undead apes and undead lady apes. This is a collection of some sort, which I guess it's cool. Okay. No. Oh, come on. What's the? No. It's the whole family that got killed in Germany back in what, 1919, whatever. Darn, I'm blanking. It's a very popular case and fascinating case. When somebody comes up with it, you can look at my list, because I don't remember now. I'm like, okay, I'll do this. I'll Google it just so I won't drive myself nuts. Let's see. Germany farm murders. And the answer is, the Hinterkaifeck murders. Hinterkaifeck. So I have a video on the Hinterkaifeck murders, and I really loved that doing the analysis on it. Didn't love the murders, loved doing the analysis on it. And I came to maybe a different conclusion than many people on it. So Hinterkaifeck. So now Princess, thank you, God. Okay, Princess says a rug pull is a cryptocurrency scam where the creators of a project suddenly believe taking all the money invested by users. Thank you. That's a good explanation. Still don't understand it very much, but it's fraud. Oh, wait a minute. Yep, that is correct. Hinterkaifeck. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either, but okay. Now, man dies by suicide after being convicted of rug pull. Family says 21-year-old man took his life while awaiting sentences for an NFT. Don't know what that means. Rug pull. All right. Berman Jerry Nowlin has died by an apparent suicide as he awaited sentencing for his part in an NFT rug pull involving wire fraud and money laundering. So they found him guilty of helping orchestrate the sale of an NFT rug pull worth $400,000. Nowlin, alongside 25-year-old Devin Allen Roden, carried out the sale of 2 Solana NFT collections before canceling a third collection. They were successful due to outright false statements, including partners with prominent businesses and utility that holders would be granted. Not only that, but the canceled third collection was defined as a rug pull by the department due to the team deleting Discord and Twitter accounts after taking payment. The NFT collections were sold in 2022 with Undead Apes, then Undead Lady Apes, before the sale of Undead Tombstone was cut short. Total brought in by the duo was almost $400,000 as hundreds of victims invested in the projects. I don't understand how you invest in it, but okay. Roden pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering, while Nowlin took it to trial. So the 25-year-old said, guilty, I'm guilty, to sentence me. And Nowlin wanted to go to trial, and he was found guilty anyway. Okay, in a heartfelt interview, she says, the mother, that Nowlin became deeply depressed and withdrawn following the guilty verdict. His family argues that he was an unaware accessory to the scheme, pointing to Roden as the one to blame. In his eyes, I don't think he thought he did anything wrong, Nowlin's brother said. In his eyes, he didn't think he did anything wrong. Not that he just did something wrong. In his eyes. So you're saying your brother is just clueless and he thought he was doing good things. He didn't realize there was anything wrong in what he was doing. My brother was just young, naive kid that got taken advantage of. No, he didn't he got taken advantage of. He took advantage of the opportunity he had. Now listen to this. So the argument here is that Nowlin was the developer of the projects in charge of the behind-the-scenes creation of the tokens, while Roden was heading the marketing side of the project. Nowlin's attorney, Jervis Wise, argued that the 21-year-old had no knowledge of the rug pull plans. Nowlin didn't have any knowledge of what Roden was doing. He didn't join in any plan to defraud anyone. Ultimately, however, the Department of Justice found evidence that Nowlin played a direct role in the scheme. Namely, the report found that he executed the money laundering via chain hopping and the use of illegal crypto mixers that obfuscate. And by the way, some people say obfuscate. I looked that one up. It's supposed to be obfuscate. Okay. The sender and receiver of tokens. The funds were traced directly back to his bank account. He was going to serve 5 years in prison, but he committed suicide. I think he knew what was happening. And just because you're 21 does not make you unaware of the law and what you're doing is legal or not legal. So just say that, oh, I had no clue. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a clue. but it's interesting. Parents will do this because there was an older person involved. Oh, he didn't have a clue what was going on. But then the brother says, in his eyes, he didn't think it was wrong. So why would that be? Because it's either right or it's wrong. And if it's right, you would have no reason to have it be in his eyes. He thought it was right. No, he was doing wrong, but he just wanted to get away with it. So I thought that was really interesting. Now let's see. I want to talk about this guy. Because I can't pronounce the guy's name, so I apologize. But this was just fascinating in that, where is the guy? Oh, maybe I want to talk about this guy. Let me talk about this guy first. Where is he? Where'd it go? Dang it all. Hold on. Is he missing? Yeah, he's missing. I forgot to send that picture over. Okay. Well, it looks like this. Does that help you out? Okay. What I basically want to say is, okay. Oh, okay. This guy is a huge, long article. It's so long, and to me, I can hardly make it through because, hold on a second. It was torturous. So there was The window. Oh, come on now. Seriously. Your window is closing. To the New Yorker, they don't want me to look at the damn thing. Oh, for God's sakes, they're gonna knock me off now. Unbelievable. Now I can't see the article because they just blocked me. I looked at it and they won't let me go back and look at the rest of it. Okay, let me see if I hang it all. Okay, I'm going to put his name in and see what else I can come up with it. This guy, what's fascinating to me, hold on a second. You know, if you already got the article open, you wouldn't think that. They say this is the last time you can have this article. Well, if that's true, why can't I look at it? I already opened it. It should be the last one. I should be able to see it. Okay. So is this him? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to show you a picture of him. Okay. There he is. Well, anyway, that's him. That is him. I don't know if you know who this guy is, but I'll just go to Wikipedia on this. Anyway, he was known. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Stéphane, but I'm not sure. Bourgoin. I'm just going to say Stéphane from now on, even if I'm wrong. He's a French author specializing in true crime. And between 1990 and 2020, he presented himself as an expert in offender profiling criminology and was considered as such by the French media. And like the US media, they don't bother to actually vet a lot of times. They'll just run with it because it's cool. In 2020, after various sources revealed improbability in his biography, he was forced to admit that he lied about several elements of his past that credited his purported expertise. He was born in Paris in 1953. He was expelled from high school 3 times and does not hold any diploma. I've had people attack me. Like, you're not a criminal profiler. Who are you? I'm like, oh, at least I do have a master's degree. This dude got nothing. But that's, again, I'm always one for, since I believe so much in self-education, I don't treasure degrees in certain areas. I mean, if you're going to become a doctor, an engineer, a scientist, you need a damn degree, probably. But if you're going to do something that is more in the liberal arts field, a lot of times I think you can do your own studies and so I'm okay with that. So, if he wanted to become a profiler and study, so be it. However, all right, in the 1970s, he was a columnist for B movies and horror films. And this is where it's interesting. He is obsessed with horror films. He moved to the United States, where he played the role of a man who did everything for small budget productions. He was an assistant on the sets of a few minor pornographic films. This guy has I would say, maybe a moral issue. Okay. He wrote 3 pornographic films. That's nice. A whole 3 of them, which seem never to have been edited, although it might have been some ambitious projects. Okay, so time goes on. He becomes an employee of a Parisian bookshop, and then he wrote books about genre films. And then, now, this is where it gets into the serial killers. From the 1990s, he presented himself as an expert on serial killers. He claimed to have moved to the United States in the early 70s, where he allegedly found his then-wife, Eileen, murdered, raped, and mutilated by a serial killer in 1976. He claimed this tragedy motivated him to become an expert on serial killers. That was a total lie. There was no Eileen. So this guy, you'll see, he's got a history of pathological lying. In particular, he claimed to have an interview with the murderer Richard Chase in 1979. He also claimed to have met the murderer of the fake Eileen. He has written 75 books. He's prolific. The guy's got energy, I'll give him that. And dozens of documentaries, with his book selling thousands of copies in France. He was regarded as France's best-known serial killer expert. He occasionally lectured police on the subject and critiqued media depictions of serial killers. He claimed to have provided the FBI with hours of film from his interviews and serial killers. He claimed that the FBI, grateful for his assistance, trained him as an independent investigator. John Douglas says, not true. Okay, so then in 2020, they're finally catch up with him. Now he's had years and years of having a hell of a life, selling tons of books and being in movies and supposedly doing all these, documentaries and stuff. And so he says here, let's see. Then in 2020, he was questioned in a series of videos published on YouTube by Fourth Eye Corporation. This work was then repeated in other media. It revealed that much of his biography and stories appeared to have been invented or plagiarized. One of the reasons he could write so many books was what he would do is he'd find books that weren't in French, like have been somewhat past, well, okay, so if we take my book, The Profiler, okay, and it was written, I forgot when I even wrote this thing, 2000, I'll look it up, I don't remember, okay, 2010, so this is now 15 years old. All right, now, it was not a bestseller, okay, which it had been, wasn't. I got a great advance, thank God. And then the publicity got completely screwed on the whole thing, so didn't get any publicity. When we had all this publicity lined up, the publisher had magazines lined up to really good stuff, and then the lawyers took so long to vet the book to make sure they weren't going to get sued that they put it out late, and I lost all the publicity. But anyway, another story. But he would pick up a book like this, and he would borrow my stuff and put it into French. And since people in France probably hadn't read the book, didn't know of it, and enough time had passed, then he would just borrow all that stuff, and that's why he could write so prolifically. And so he plagiarized. Some of the stories he just basically, just made up. So they published a finding in 2019, and after the French media covered the issue, that's amazing that they even did, he confessed. In 2020, he informed Paris Match reporter that his oft-repeated claim that a serial killer murdered his wife was fabricated, and he apologized to the readers for his deception. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones that were not nonsense too. He said that there was any question he actually met Charles Manson, and he went down to South Africa. Mickey Pistorius, who I'm not overly fond of as a profiler, she got some strange stuff. I did a show on her. But he claimed something happened when he was down there, and Mickey said, no, that never happened. It happened to me, but it never happened to him. So he appropriated stories from the South African police officers and from John Douglas too. Let's see. Then he had said he had met like 90, I forgot, it was about like 90 serial killers and interviewed them. Then he said, no, it was really 30. Oh no, 70, he said 77 serial killers. So, I mean, I have in person only interviewed one killer. I personally do not like, I have no reason to go to prisons and interview serial killers. I don't find any interest in that. But he said he interviewed 77, and that's a hell of a high number for some guy from France as opposed to John Douglas, for example. But then he said, okay, I admit it wasn't 77, it was 30, about 30. Well, it turns out it's really about 7 or 9. So he really, and then he also admitted he was never trained by the FBI. And in response to the scandal, he was dropped by his publishers and producers. So there is a National Geographic's docuseries in 2024 coming out. It was called Killer Lies. If you want to look at that, interesting. But now, I want to point this out. Why was he such a pathological liar? And there's this thing I had read, which was in the article that disappeared, that people who tell pathological lies don't have any real motive. They just can't stop telling them. No, he had absolute motive. That's not true. A lot of killers, criminals, psychopaths of many sorts tell very purposeful lies. One is to manipulate you. Another is to see whether you'll fall for their lies so they can increase their lies and use you. Another one is that they are trying to have you believe something that's not true about them or look the other way. So no, they know they're lying, and they know why they're lying. Sometimes do they lie about stupid small things that they don't need to waste their time with? Sure, but they get a kick out of it too. So they do enjoy lying just to see if people buy it, So he was obsessed with serial killers. He had a whole house full of serial killer crap and more serial killer T-shirts. And one of the documentary people that was in in one of the prisons when he was interviewing was creeped out by him, because they're like, they saw him as a fanboy. It's like he was like totally into it. He asked questions that they didn't have as questions you should ask, because he wanted to hear the gory stories. That dude's a sick dude. And he basically loved serial killers and gore, and he was a questionable character. Now, do I use the P word, psychopath, with him? He has every single sign of being a psychopath. And this is shows how you don't have to be violent yourself to be one, but you can be involved in things where you're constantly conning people over and over and over again to build yourself up, grandiose thinking, no lack of empathy. He doesn't seem to have empathy for the victims. He doesn't have empathy for the people who are doing porn that probably shouldn't be doing porn. He doesn't seem to have empathy. So if he goes through the hair checklist, psychopathy checklist, you'll probably find he could check off a whole bunch of boxes. And thank God they finally figured out who he was. But he had one hell of a run. It goes to show people who are very manipulative, and he seems to be smart, that they can get away with a lot for a long time, especially with the media, who they can't wait to jump on something instead of doing a due diligence and finding out whether the person is somebody that should even pay attention to. And I totally confess, and I've said it before, when I got into television, they didn't do due diligence with me either. They just called me off of a website and said, hey, can you do a television show today, because our guest can't make it? And they found me on the internet, and they didn't do anything. And I went into my show. They loved me. And from that moment on, I was busy as hell, working for 3,000 television appearances. I don't know if they ever vetted me at any point in time. Now, I got lucky, because, I don't know if I had been a TV producer at that time, I vetted me, I probably would have said, probably not. Because at that time, I did not have a master's degree. I was a self-trained profiler, and I was fairly new in the game. And how do they, maybe years later they should have me on, but I don't know about that beginning. It worked out well for me, but they're careless. They are totally careless, and they don't oftentimes give a damn about the truth. They don't care about, those kind of things. I have been, unable to get the media to respond to when I provide evidence that what's out there is incorrect, and I have evidence to prove it. And I say, look, you've done this story about this person, and it's not true, and here's the evidence. They never call me back, because they already got their story. So I'm surprised he finally got called out, but he got called out by, I'll give this YouTube channel credit, because they did. I guess he got on their nerves, and then they worked their butts off to, take him down. So thumbs up to them. Let's see, for your comments. It might be. It might be. Not at the time. At the time that I started into profiling, and I've been very honest about that. I haven't my profiling, but people thought sometimes I was a fraud because I lied about my history. I did not. Profiler book has it straight in it, and I always had it on my channel. At the time, back in the day, I had a bachelor's degree in liberal arts. I had read 400 books on everything I could come, everything connected to profiling, crime scene analysis, forensic pathology, profiling, serial homicide, all of that stuff. I think 400 books, and I read them all the way through with markings on them and everything. And when I came up with another book I should read, I read it. And luckily, I was working at the hospital as a sign language interpreter at the time, and most of the time my patients were asleep. So I had all this time to actually study and study and study. I did go to some seminars with police, and so I flew to those seminars. But no, it wasn't on there. I'm not sure. Did I put my master's degree is up there now. So then I went on to get a master's degree, which personally was way less worthwhile than the 400 books I read. I can tell you that. So Um, well, no. If he had been real, he wouldn't have gotten anywhere. It's a simple fact. Apparently, it was too much work for him to go the route that would have brought him into that area, and he decided he had a shortcut. And he made his proclamations, and especially about his wife being brutally murdered and chopped up. The media eats up stuff like that. I didn't have that. I didn't have quite as bad a story to tell. So my story is actually real, but his wasn't. But that intrigued them, and then they just rolled with it. And that's the way it works. It's kind of horrifying. Payback what? Who? Oh. Well, yeah, he sold books. You don't pay back, all the readers of the books don't get their money back. So, no, I'm sure he hasn't had to pay a thing. Sarah's leaving. Bye, Sarah. And congratulations again, Sarah, about the baby. So anyway, let's see what time it is. 8:26. Do I have anything else to say? Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll just do this one, just because I have it here. This guy shot this guy and killed him. And he was found not guilty by the stand your ground law in Florida. This guy killed this guy. So what was the story behind that? Now, it's an interest. I'm just curious what you would do in this situation, because it's interesting. So anyway, hold on. All right. So a judge has dismissed a case against a 79-year-old Volusia County man accused of shooting his next-door neighbor who was trimming a tree on the defendant's property, saying the man met the standard under Florida stand your ground law. So this is what happened. He was charged with second-degree murder of Brian Ford. His name was Edward Druzilowski, and Brian Ford was the guy that got killed. Ford, this guy, was trimming a tree. Had branches over both properties. When Ford began trimming the branches on Druzilowski's property, he asked Ford to leave. So a lot of times there is this problem of, things hanging, and this person's trying to get rid of stuff that they don't want attached to their property, and sometimes branches attach sort of to that property. But you cannot go onto your neighbor's lawn and start cutting the trees on his side of the property. You can't do that. So he asked him to leave. Investigators said Ford started moving toward Druzilowski and yelling at him, so Druzilowski shot Ford. So now Druzilowski did not have a weapon. And here was the problem. The prosecutors said that Ford did not make enough threats that would warrant being shot. I don't know if there's anybody around to hear this. I don't understand what it was. However, the judge in her ruling said Ford was known for being violent and bragged about beating up fellow inmates in prison. The judge also said Druzilowski did not brandish the gun right away until after Ford started yelling and cursing, and continued to do so even after Druzilowski told Ford to stop or he would shoot. Based upon the aggressive actions of Mr. Ford, his violent reputation, the age and size differences of the two men, the defendant believed that such force was reasonably necessary to defend himself from Mr. Ford's imminent use of unlawful force. Court records show that Ford had a history of criminal arrests dating back to the early 2000s, and he's been convicted of charges like battery and dealing in stolen property. In 2016, Ford was found guilty after deputies said he headbutted his mother during an argument. He pleaded no contest in two other cases where he sold his mother's tools and fraudulently used somebody else's credit card. So let's see. And then Ford was convicted in 2021 of felony battery in a domestic violence case, as well as an attempted aggravated battery in 2020, where he was accused of throwing a metal pipe at his mother. So he's a violent guy. Druzilowski's attorney said, "I thought this was a textbook prototypical stand your ground case." Druzilowski is 78 years old. He has no prior dust-ups with law enforcement. And so he warned the gentleman off his property. He warned him not to come closer. He said a warning. He said a warning click of the revolver. Again, this only made the man advance on him more rapidly, yelling curse words and menacing words like, "I'm going to cut your head off with a chainsaw." Okay. What's your thought? Do you think the guy had a right to shoot somebody who the claim, at least here, is that he, first of all, was on the guy's property without permission. He was told to leave. He didn't. He started cussing and being very, very aggressive. Supposedly came toward the Druzilowski, who pulled out a gun, gave him a warning, and the guy said he's going to cut his head off with a chainsaw. And do you think Druzilowski had a right to shoot the guy? So, sounds like a hothead. Well, clearly he was. I guess if he gets pissed at you, he gets pissed at you, and he does obviously attack people. So that is a problem. You think he had every right? A lot of states allow stand your ground. That is true. Every right. The tricky part is with your stand your ground. There was a woman who was recently convicted because she and her neighbor had issues, and the neighbor came over and beat on her door, and then she shot the woman through the door. She thought the woman was going to come after her. I understood why she was pissed at the neighbor. I understood that. But on the other hand, there were two women, and the woman was beating on her door. I know there's evidence that she was coming through the door, and that the woman who did the shooting couldn't have backed up to get away because she was inside the house. So I think that prosecution, she got convicted, which I think was correct. This I don't know. I don't know who the witnesses were. I wish I knew that. Yeah, it's all over a tree. And number one thing is, yeah, it's dumb, but you can't go on somebody else's property and start mucking around with it. I mean, you can't do that. That's a simple fact. So he was trespassing. He was asked to leave. He didn't. And obviously he is, as far as, I mean, unless it's not true that if he moved forward on this guy, the guy's not going to win over that younger man. I mean, he's 79 years old, and this guy's coming at him, and he knew his history, and he knew he was a dangerous kind of guy. Yeah, same thing as if I were standing on that front lawn and this guy comes at me, and if you ever watched police situations where somebody said, "Why did they shoot the guy with the knife?" He was far away. Well, he wasn't far enough away, because it's amazing how fast people can move. And suddenly that person who you think is out of range suddenly just takes a couple steps and stabs you. You're going to find out he wasn't out of range. So if I'm sitting there and I see this big scary guy and he's saying, "I'm going to cut your head off with a chainsaw," and I'm saying, get back, and he's coming toward me, at some point I'm going to shoot, because I will believe that if I don't shoot, I'm going to be dead. I would be standing my ground, and that would be self-defense. So it's a tricky thing, because the thing you have to prove is that at that moment in time, there was enough evidence that a reasonable person would think they're going to be killed if they do not pull the trigger. You have to believe that. Now, if the guy is halfway down the block and you shoot him from a distance, you could say, well, that clearly, was not really self-defense. If there's a big barrier between the two people and the person has to get through the barrier first, like if he's on the other side of your gate and you shoot him on the other side of the gate, really, now if he opens the gate and comes after you, then you can shoot. So, but that, a lot of it depends on, first of all, you have witnesses to what happened, so that nobody's lying about the distance. And I couldn't see anything about the distance, and that's the most important thing, because if your person is also holding out a gun and says, don't come closer or I'll shoot," and you come closer, you're an idiot, first of all, but maybe you deserve what you get. So I wish I knew about the warning thing, but I didn't find that. So at least not in the short time I had to do to do a hangout as opposed to a full case. Anything else? Okay, I'll do one more, and then I'm going to stop for tonight. I just want to mention the drunk driver. This woman is that her? Which one is she? Which one? Oh crap! Is this her? Yeah. Okay. This woman, she was driving a school bus drunk. So, I mean, what amazes me here, remember the other week I talked about the kids in school, this girl who was beaten and tortured in school by this gang of kids, and the school just disciplined him and didn't report it to the police, and family is furious that it wasn't a police case and they weren't charged. Well, check this out. Come here, where are you? Here, sure. It's an Indiana case, and the behavior, again, the school behavior was ridiculous. I don't know what's wrong with these schools. So anyway, she's 38 years old. Damn, does she look bad for 38? Ooh. Anyway, she's 38 years old. The headline was the Daily Fail in this case because of the headline. Arrested for a ridiculous act. It wasn't ridiculous. It was dangerous. An Indiana school driver accused of drunk driving a bus of 32 children has been charged with 2 felonies. Kayla Peer, 38, turned herself into police after they issued a warrant for her arrest. She did get charged, but look at what led up to this. On September 20th, the reckless driver took students from the middle school to the elementary school. I don't know what was going on there. But the students on the bus realized something was wrong as soon as she started driving. The students noticed that she was acting strangely and began reporting her out of the ordinary driving behaviors and mannerisms. I guess they were doing phones. The courageous students aboard the bus who reported the behaviors of the accused are publicly commended. Their attention to detail and prompt action may have prevented a tragedy from occurring. The school's district transportation director met the bus at Riley Elementary School. She was taken off the vehicle, and the school district started investigating the situation. The school district. The woman comes off the bus. She's clearly drunk. You call the police. You don't start investigating. Peer quit her job later that day. The school district brought the incident to the attention of the sheriff's office on October 21st. Okay, let me go back. What day are we talking about here that this happened? This happened on the 20th. But apparently, let's see how this worked. Hold on a second. When toxicology results confirmed that she was still intoxicated on the 21st. Okay. They're saying thank you for the school's cooperation. Then they launched an investigation. And then they agreed there was probable cause the next day and issued an arrest warrant. But now this is where it gets down to the bottom. The school district says, we maintain rigorous standards for all our transportation employees, blah, blah. On social media, concerned parents expressed their outrage with Peer and how the incident was handled. They're saying, why did the school deal with this internally? Absolutely true. This was a crime that should have been reported immediately like any other. This is disgusting and disturbing. Another example of poor leadership and a failure to protect our children. They're saying that, wait a minute, it should have been reported to the police when it happened. Concerning it was not reported for a month. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I must have read that. That's what I thought I read originally. Wait a minute. How is this? Okay, let me go back to when it happened. Maybe I read the wrong date on here. Okay. On September 20th, this happened. And October 20th. That's what I thought I read originally. I was like, why is it only one day? Took them a month to inform the police. So obviously they did a test because I guess you can test your employees. And they a month. That's insane. Even though she wasn't working there anymore. I agree with the parents. They should immediately have called the police there and let the police do a sobriety test right then and there and had her dragged away. Unbelievable. So a lot of times the school system wants to keep things all quiet, and so the parents don't get upset about things, and they want to protect themselves from their hires, and they're hiring people sometimes who are not so great. And I can't always blame the school for that, because you're always going to have that bad apple, and you say, well, we didn't realize that somebody there was a pedophile, or somebody, which is not unlikely in schools, that oftentimes you'll have a pedophile in there, because especially if they're like a teacher of young children. And you can have that on sports teams too. That happens, male or female, we see it. So that you could have a drunk driver. They wouldn't know that at the beginning, I guess. And you have to get a lot of school drivers, and it's hard. It's hard to find school drivers. It's not a fun job anymore, because the kids are crap on the buses, and I wouldn't do it. No way. So she was still drunk the next day. I guess I don't know. I don't. There's not much more information on that. But what they didn't do was report it to police immediately. But the child forms a gun in his hand. The police are called immediately. Probably. That's probably true. There was a terrible bus tragedy years ago. I mean, it's always scary when you put kids on a bus. You just never know. You always hope that the bus is big enough to prevent most of the tragedies, just because they're big beasts, So, but anyway, bad driver killed 6 kids. That sucks. Anyway, I think that's it for tonight. So I'm glad you all came today, and I'll put the video out on Williams tomorrow. And then I'll be doing the Selena show on Sunday. So I'm ahead of the game. I actually know what I'm doing this week. So how about that? So I don't have any deer abbeys. No, I just don't have one today, Michaela. I know you like them at the end of the show, but I just don't have one. Okay, so maybe next time. So good night, everybody. Glad you were here. And yes, if you're new to the channel, check out the other channel, Dear Profiler Pat. Still trying to get to a point where I can make the channel functionable, because you have to get that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And I had to do that years ago with this channel, and it's not fun, because you sit there and it's just grueling, because you put out, you're doing the work, but you're not getting paid for any of it. And it's just like a time being put out for zero pay. And I still love doing it because it's fun. I like doing the advice thing. And people seem to really like it. So I thank God I get that kind of, positive feedback. But it's still painful when it's so slow. I mean, because you don't get the algorithm doesn't pick up when it's a small channel. So because mine's new, it takes a long time for the algorithm to even like me. So it's, people sometimes spend years trying to get to that point where they're monetized. So then they can make it a real job, So anyway, good night, everybody, and I will see you next time. And I'll have to let you know next time whether on Hangout, whether I made it to, what am I on day 15? Yeah, we'll see how much longer I go, but it's working so far. I still feel okay. And I didn't pay $4,000 to not eat and sit in a crappy room. So I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.